MrTransformers96 here with another video review. This time it is a movie review. It's a Man of Steel review, so here you go. So I make these videos mostly just for my subscribers, the people that watch my toy reviews. So if you're looking for just a good review of the movie, I just skip mine, because this is just my own thoughts of it. I'm not a good movie reviewer or anything like that. So yeah. So, after Iron Man 3, and I'm sure most of you know my feelings of Iron Man 3, did not like it very much at all. Were we gonna get redeemed by this movie? And I have to say absolutely yes. This movie was very good. I've seen it twice now, once in Cine Capri, once in IMAX 3D. I'll talk about both of those experiences. First of all, just to go over the characters, Superman himself, the person who was playing him, I thought he did a really good job. He really just ripped guy. I mean, I did not expect that from the trailers and everything, but this guy is ripped. He really looks like a cool Superman. Yeah, very cool the way they did it. First of all, it starts on Krypton, and Krypton, they did a lot more with Krypton than I thought they would, and they showed a lot of the stuff, and we did know this before the movie came out, but that all the children are genetically engineered to be a specific thing in life before they were even born, and Jor-El decides to have a natural birth with Superman, and you know, so that he can decide his own fate and everything like that. A neat, very cool concept that we're introduced with General Zod as he is starting a rebellion for the greater good of Krypton, and killing some of the leaders there and everything. And right before the Earth is like destroyed, we do get a nice little smaller showdown with Jor-El and General Zod. General Zod really gets beaten in that. Yeah, that wasn't great. He really just falls pretty much. And then General Zod does kill Jor-El, which is pretty neat. I think that's nice, because although Jor-El would have died, you know, in hours anyway, it is cool to see General Zod actually being the one that kills him, because he would have died anyway. So that was kind of nice. Then General Zod and everybody are sent into the Phantom Zone. They did the Phantom Zone very well, because they had a lot of options. It could have just been a world where they could walk around and everything, but nobody else could see them or interact with them. Or it could have been a flying mirror in space, not my favorite, but maybe. But they did it where they're in a big ship, and the ship is like electrified and taken into another kind of dimension. It was really neat, the way they shot it and everything, very cool. And this is actually what helps them. I mean, if people got on that ship and went with them, they would have been saved. So they actually, they made special arrangements to save the criminals, and everybody else just died. And when everybody else died, they were released. So I didn't think it wasn't a very smart thing to do. On Earth, of course, we see Superman and everything. The Lois Lane in this movie, she was, you know, a very strong woman, just like she is in everything else, but they really just kind of like shoved that persona down your throat, like the second you meet her. She's just very much like it, which, you know, is good. It is a little strange, the whole snow scenes, and the only thing that I really did not like is that, you know, Lois Lane, you know, they tell her not to go out, because, you know, they won't find her body until spring, they tell her, and then she just follows some random guy that she sees walking, and she does, of course, stumble onto his ship, but you know, I thought that was, nobody in their right mind would do that, but what are you gonna do? The whole ship and everything is pretty neat. You get the consciousness of Jor-El, which is cool, so that he can still explain everything to him, but he doesn't have to be alive, which is nice. What else do I want to talk about? The Daily Planet. I didn't know how much of it was going to be in this movie. There was a decent amount. The only thing I didn't like was how the office was set up. I really didn't think it looked good, like, whatsoever. It was very plain, very ordinary. It was all very gray in there. And then everybody had very small cubicles, and it was a very small space. And then, I don't know his name, the editor, I think that his title is the editor, but his office was just like in a little corner, you know, it wasn't very big or anything. I just really did not like it. The Superman Returns, what I think they did better was setting up the office. The office was nice, it was very large, you got the TV screens in the middle, it was colorful, you know, it wasn't gray, and then you got the big office in the end, straight in the middle, that was the editor's office. Really did like that it was set up well. This movie, it made it just very plain and just very ordinary. story. I don't know if they wanted to make it more relatable. I just didn't think it was very good at all. And that's my thing. Having the planet, obviously like the sculpture of the planet, that's no problem if they didn't have that. But I would have liked it like a better office, not so ordinary and not so like depressing inside it. I did not like that. The symbols in everybody's chest, of course, we knew that Superman's would mean hope. It's his family crest. I did really like all the family crests, although they're not supposed to be the letters, and most of them are the letters. I mean, Feora, obviously an F here, but what are you gonna do? It's still very neat. I really do like the designs. The only thing is, I was under the impression before the movie started that General Zod and Feora were married, and if that was so, then she would have his symbol. But considering they didn't talk about that at all, I'm left to assume that they're not married, so I don't know, maybe that's just me. I had heard from many people and everything that they were married, so I'm pretty surprised at that, but that's a minor thing to talk about. But the symbols are all very neat, and the way they were done, the decision to not make it him having an S, that they all had their own symbol, was great. It really was much better in my opinion. The fighting in this movie, what I expected was a little fight scene at the beginning on Krypton, a very small one, and then we'd have a large middle part, which would just be like the origins of Superman and him trying to do things, and it would be very long and stressed out, and then we have one really cool fight, but just one really cool fight at the end, and that'll be it. That was completely wrong. We had a slightly bigger fight on Krypton than I expected. And then the middle was quite short. The one thing I did not like, but I think that they made a good decision by doing this, was that it was very choppy. It was very important event, finish. There wasn't really a stretch of anything normal. It was, him on the the Fisher tank while the Oreo is destroying, he goes and saves the people. And then we get a flashback. And then what happens next? Oh yeah, the guy at the bar, starts fighting with him. He doesn't fight him. Then we get a flashback. It was just all very important event. Just the things that we needed to see, and no filler. Which it makes it not so great, because you look at all of it together, and you're like, a normal life doesn't go through one of those things, let alone all of them. So I don't know how great that is. But hey, it still worked out pretty well. I think that it was better to do that than have a long, drawn-out origin story. Which we've seen before and everything. We all know who Superman is and what his origins are, so we didn't really need that again. So it was nice to see them go fast, but it did go pretty choppy, which isn't horrible, but it was a choice that they had to make, and I think that they probably made the right one. But still, there was no perfect choice in that situation. Then we get to the end when General Zod has sent his message to Earth, and they go and they have their big fight and everything. I think the fights were beautiful in this movie. I absolutely love them. The character that I think stole the show in this movie was Feora. I didn't expect much from her. I thought that she'd just be kind of walking behind General Zod most of the time. She did a lot in this movie, a lot of the fighting and everything, and the way that she fought was really cool. It was really neat that she'd just go super fast and just kill all these people, and then, would fight Superman and everything. We do also get the big guy, I'm not quite, Nin, I think was his name in the original movie, in Superman 2. His name starts with an N in this movie, but I can't remember it. He's a completely CGI character, which I have to say, in the background of some scenes, because he's always in the background, he's always far off when he doesn't have his helmet on, but you can totally tell the CGI, he wasn't great. The way that he was done, it was very CGI. I would have rather they had a real person's face on top of a CGI body instead of just a CGI face, CGI person. That wasn't great. But that's a very minor complaint. And they got their own little fight with Superman, which is great. It was an awesome fight. That would be considered as a great end battle fight, but it actually wasn't. That was the first battle of about 3 battles in the end of the movie, which was so awesome to see him fight those two, especially since he did that in Superman 2, and then they both escape, awesome battle and everything. And then they have to go and he fights the ships and everything, which is pretty neat. I love the way that the ships, what they did, where they, sucked everything up and then they just dropped them all. People are dying left and right here. When the big guy, the big Krypton guy, whatever, the CGI guy, when he goes and he jumps on one of these fighter jets, he rips open the cockpit and just kind of takes the guy. And this is from far off, so it's kind of hard to see, but it is neat. And he just squeezes him until he pops. There's a pop of blood, and then he's dead. I think it was very violent, which I love. I mean, it's so cool to see that kind of stuff. So that was awesome. Really love that kind of stuff. And the end battle scenes were awesome. I heard a lot of people say that they didn't like how much fighting there was in this movie, just because it was so crazy. Like, every single fight was so intense and it was so insane. There wasn't like a build-up. There wasn't a small fight, then a medium fight, and then a large fight at the end. It was large fight, which, can leave some people just drained when they get out of this theater. But I think that it was really cool, really well done, and it's something that you kind of need to do, because with every single superhero movie, DC or Marvel, I mean, any of the Avengers, Green Lantern, especially Batman, just any of these characters, they all have limitations. I challenge you to send me a superhero that has been in a movie that doesn't have limitations, and because they all do. The only one that doesn't is Superman. So he is only limited by what his foe can do, and when it's Lex Luthor, the movie is very limited, but when it's somebody like General Zod, who has the same exact powers as Superman, you have two limitless characters with you. So that means, you can have them do whatever and make the fight something so different, something so original that nobody has ever seen before, because they don't have limitations. And that's what they did in this movie. So I do not mind how much fighting there was. I actually love it, but I think that it doesn't hurt the movie at all for the normal viewer, because it is just it's something that we needed, because it's the only superhero that we can do this with. So I really did absolutely love that. And I love that General Zod had to kind of go through everything Superman had to go through, but he did it way faster because he is a professional, general kind of guy. He mastered his senses, and that's what I really didn't like, or I like that, but what I didn't like was when Superman came and he crashed General Zod, through like a gas station and everything. General Zod got all like confused where he could see his insides. I was like, oh, this is gonna suck. So at the end of the movie, he's just gonna rip off his helmet, and then General Zod will be confused, and then he'll just pound him to death. And that did not happen. General Zod mastered the whatever you want to call it, the struggle of trying to handle all of his new powers, and I love that. I didn't expect that. I thought that was the way he was going to die, but he ended up learning how to control them, so he never needed the helmet again. So cool. I absolutely love that. At the end, General Zod mastered the flight, so then they can have a nice flying battle. Super cool, really awesome. The end battle was great, and I love that at the end, Superman did not want to kill General Zod, considering he's the last of his race, pretty much. And, General Zod, was going, it was either let General Zod kill a family and then try to contain him, or just kill him, and he did end up just killing him. I thought that was great, and then Superman, screams at the end. Really cool. So it allowed Superman to be the super nobody dies, type of guy, but still have him kill people, which was good. And lots of killing in this movie, and I hate a Superman movie where Superman just saves everybody and nobody dies. I think that's just stupid and unrealistic. They would never happen that way. So it was great to see how many people died, and just the absolute huge destruction in Metropolis. I have trouble saying that, sorry. Just so much. It was crazy, but it was cool. The one thing, this is the biggest thing that I didn't like about this movie, was the advertising. What? Just so much. It was unbelievable. I don't think that there was any advertising in Green Lantern or any of the Dark Knights. It was so awful. Because the advertisings, they weren't subtle things in small parts. They were in your face in big, intense parts, which I hated. I mean, you got Nokia, 7-Eleven, Sears, IHOP, and there was many more. It was so so annoying. They fight in an IHOP, a guy that we kind of know as a character in this movie. He works at an IHOP. I mean, it would have been one thing if they just had Lois Lane go to where he works at the IHOP, and that's it. They never fight in IHOP or anything, nothing like that. General Zod and Superman, they crash into a 7-Eleven, and Sears, they have some fights right behind Sears, and when the military comes there, they're pointing their guns right inside Sears. It's so annoying, and it's so in your face. One of the worst advertising movies I've ever seen in my life. I think that I've only seen one other movie that had worse advertising, and that was in Tyler Perry's, one of his movies, but his not like a not like a comedy, like his latest action movie that he did. They had a terrible advertising for a car, that was horrible. But Superman, it was really they had one of the worst advertising I've ever seen in a movie, and that is just really disappointing. I watched a behind the scenes thing of Superman, and one of the producers, not Christopher Nolan, but another producer, she said that, oh, when Superman, crashes into a building, we didn't want it just to be a regular building that nobody know. We wanted it to be something that everybody can relate to, and have it, when he smashes into a building, have it a place that yeah, bullshit, pretty much. You wanted an advertising that was just stupid. I really hated that. So that was one thing that I absolutely hated. The Easter eggs were pretty cool. There was a building that says LexCorp. There was a double oil tanker kind of truck that said LexCorp in the sky. When General Zod throws a satellite at Superman, it says Wayne Enterprises. Really neat little Easter eggs that I thought were cool. Pretty neat. Nothing much to talk about there though. The ending where Martha, she says, Superman says, talking to Martha, his human mother, when he says, I wish my father could have seen this or something like that, and she says, he did, and I love the ending where they show the flashback of Superman playing with a dog with a red cape and everything, and just Jonathan working on a car, and just kind of looks up and sees him put his hands on the hips as like Superman. Thought that was wonderful. I absolutely love that scene. Really cool. And really well done to do it that way. Overall, I love this movie. You've got some small complaints. The advertising is horrible. If the advertising wasn't in this movie, I think that this would have been a much better movie. But it was still a great movie. I absolutely love it. By far, I think it's going to be my favorite movie of the year. And this is one of my favorite superhero movies that has ever come out. I think I liked it more than Dark Knight Rises. I'm sure that I liked it more than Dark Knight Rises. It was great. Highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. If you already had seen it, see it again, because it's really worth it, and it's just a really great movie. So there you go. So that's my video review of the Man of Steel. Let me hear your opinions about the movie in the comments. Thanks for watching.